actually have had many real moving scenes because Sarah Newland lives in such a weird part of the world. But I think that my final scene that I shot this season definitely, pushed me to a place. She's at her lowest. So yeah, that was a hard one for me. So we'll see.
I wasn't in any scenes.
Yes, you were. All of them. There's, the most moving or the most recent, but that we haven't seen yet, and some that we've seen. But in past years, when I read the scene where Eric releases Pam, I just no, and then I started, of course, crying.
Tissues every
And then, when we're at the table read, and then in rehearsal, and then with the cameras on my back, and they kept saying save, and I'm like, I can't. Yeah, that was very moving for me and Pam.
For me, I would have to say when I was shot in the head at the end of that was an incredibly moving scene, and I remember just being there with Anna and Nelson. Like for me, I had a hard time. I was like, I have to keep it together because just how they were in the scene, they were so amazingly beautiful that I just thought it was great. So that's sorry.
For me, it's, by far, the scene that I was really most moved in is one you haven't seen yet, that I did with Carrie Preston at our bar, and it was very emotional, and Carrie's such a great actress, and I don't get to work with her all that often, every once in a while. But it was great to have a scene with her that was just really just two people talking, and really we just got deep. So sorry, you haven't seen it yet, but that one was the one for me.
I've got a kind of similar answer in a way. I've got some stuff coming in a similar vein. But if I was to pick, I've had so many kind of deep emotional routes that he's gone through. But I do remember when Bill returns as a vampire to his human house and finds his son has died of smallpox, and his wife is there, and my son was probably 10 at the time, which was kind of the same age as the kid, and he was in London, and I was doing that scene, and Bridget, our makeup artist, who's been with us since the beginning, her son Strider was in the box, and I'm pretty close to Strider, and so that was really intense. And then Lorena makes Bill tell his wife to forget him, and so he glamours her into forgetting him and what existed between them. And Bill's had to do that a couple of times, and those glamoring sequences with Anna as well, they're really intense, because you're basically forgiving somebody, you're letting them go, but you're also letting go of part of yourself. You're telling that person that you didn't exist in a way, and they're really emotional to play.
Rutina having her head blown off was, pretty high on the list too. I think one of the kind of, convenient things about really loving your co-workers on a show where people die a lot is that when they kill off people you love, it's not very hard to, feel actual sort of grief and pain, and, having someone who I love as dearly as I love Rutina bleeding out in my lap was damn emotional. And, obviously, because that's where this season ends, and we don't know at that point exactly how it's going to turn out. And that was a pretty big one.
Yeah. Next question.
My question is for the entire cast. First of all, I want to say you guys have been my summer family, and you guys, thank you for all the amazing acting for all of these seasons. You guys are all just so great. But my question is, what all is your favorite season?
Favorite season for me is this one.
I don't know, that's really hard to answer. I've loved so much of what Jessica's done. Maybe 4 or 6. I think those were the hardest seasons for Jessica. She went through so much, so that's the most fun for me. So yeah, 4 or 6.
This is my favorite season.
That's so hard. I guess I have a real fondness for season 1, just because, you know, we were all so new, the world was new, we were trying to, you know, we were all exploring it and finding it and discovering it. So I'm fond of that one, but I guess 6 probably was my favorite as an actor.
This season for me, for sure.
There's a close tie between this season and last season because I got to kill a woman with a high heel last season, and that was so much fun to do.
This was for the actors. I'm not doing this.
You're nervously rebelling.
This season has been really amazing, and just as a side note or close second, the rotting face was really fun. It was really amazing for me. It was the first time I got my own storyline, but this season is right here still.
For me, it would be season 5 when I was turned into a vampire and got to work with that Kristen. That was amazing. Hell out of it. That was a lot of fun. Yeah.
I think I have a fondness too for season 1 just because it was the first one right now, and I got to do so much great stuff with Regina. But I think I can't even remember what happened in each season. I'm trying to remember. There were a couple with my brother, and there was some good acting stuff that I got to do. I think in 4, some really good stuff.
I think season 1 just holds so many memories for us. And me getting to meet this one, obviously, but also this season with Dennis O'Hare, who played Russell Edgerton, because he made me remember what it was that made me love acting in the first place.
Don't quite know how to follow that. I think there's something about the first season, even though there's been so many amazing moments along the way, that it's actually kind of impossible to pick just one season. There's something about the episode I did. What was the outcome of the show? Were we actually going to be a show where people can just think we've lost our minds? And were people going to get, fired from HBO? But that we had no idea. So we're creating this whole kind of fantasy, obviously based on Charlie's novels, but this bringing it to life. And it's not exactly an easy pitch if you were to try to describe it as far as, oh, this is going to be a totally successful TV show. So there's something kind of exciting about that uncertainty, and also it was firsts, and sort of us all falling in love with each other as a family.
That's a good question. Our next question. My question is for Anna Packman. The writers have had Suki with a number of different people down through the years, but if you got to pick from any character that had ever been on the series, who would you pick and why for Suki to end up with?
Arlene. Pam is the best clothes. Maybe we could share.
Yeah, we could share clothes.
Honestly, I get asked that so much, and I know that every time anyone gets near answering my question, they get in trouble with some faction of people who love somebody. And I've just kind of almost prevented myself actually forming a real, like, actual authentic opinion. But, you know, I gotta say, Charlene and Jimmy with Sam, I mean, that to me made a lot of sense, because they're just weird enough.
Yeah.
But just normal enough, and they can both exist during daytime, so that's a plus. They can have children, you know. But I understand why she made that decision.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. See, and that's exactly why I keep my damn mouth shut.
I had to go to a rewrite. Kidding.
We've all changed our hair.
Kidding.
I was gonna say, I thought we were doing no more
Yeah, we could do an 8th season, but everybody changed their hair, so we're fucked.
I waited. And then I typed.
We have time for one more question. Hello, I just want to tell you guys I love you guys very much and I'm very sad to see you go. And by the way, happy belated birthday, Anna. I just had a question for the writing. It seems as though the death of Tara and Elsie this season was super short and didn't really give us a lot of time to mourn, like compared to when Tara got shot in the head and was really emotional. Is there a reason behind that? Especially the fact that her mother keeps seeing her, like, and having these visions and stuff?
Well, I think that is mourning, right? Like, I mean, truthfully, when people die in your life, you don't always see it coming. You know, it doesn't always happen after you've just taken out, 40 bad guys. And so, I mean, I don't mean to be defensive, especially on the last question, but I kind of feel like we are honoring those characters. I think that's what the episode that was on this past weekend was about. And you don't get to mourn before you know what's going to happen. So, I mean, that would be my answer for why we chose to deal with it the way we dealt with it. This season is about the love that all these people share with each other. I think it's really touching, and just because we're not going in the order that you would imagine we would have gone in, I think we've really sort of given these people their due. That being said, it's our last season. We didn't know last season that it was going to be our last season. So, as I've already answered, I think that this season had to be about Bill and Sookie. It's not going to be exactly what you think it is, but Alcide, sadly had to go. I know there's a ton of love there, but we've got 10 episodes to do what we've got to do, and I don't think Sookie's done being sad about what happened to Alcide.
If I can just chip in for a second, also, I play in different circumstances, and it's not like it's a really easygoing, mellow week in Hong Kong, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of other stuff going on, and sometimes it's actually not possible to be able to break down and completely fall apart. And that's not a luxury that people have at the moment. And I get that some people think that looks like we're not mourning them, but I think having to put on a brave face while you're dealing with that is a very different kind of mourning, but just as respectful.
And truthfully, I think that episode 4, when Sookie, Anna, had to put on that brave face and power through, despite the fact that she was feeling sad, I think it's all there. I don't, I've come to trust the actors on this show implicitly, and if they have to play multiple things at the same time because life is complicated, then I know they can do it. So, I thought it was all there.
If not, I'm really sorry.
No, it was great, And so before we go though, we have a special sneak preview of the final episodes of True Blood. So you guys, thank you all for doing the Q&A though, and thank you.